Hello, so my name is Diana Tieno, and I've been a virtual assistant for a little more than 3 years. And this is my YouTube channel, so welcome. Subscribe, notification button, and all those shenanigans. Anyway, I've been overthinking this whole YouTube thing. I was waiting for the right equipment. I bought a new mic, a podcast mic. I was waiting for the right setting. I was looking for a studio. I was waiting for a lot of things. But then today I thought, okay, you know what? Maybe it's time. So I'm just going to record my first video, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but it is my first video. So I asked a question on TikTok and also gave an opening for some people to email me and DM me their questions. So I'm going to narrow down the questions to 5 or 6 of them as I answer them. Okay. So the first question says, hello, where do you get your clients? Okay. Hello, where do you get VA clients from as a beginner in this field? Okay, I think I covered this in a TikTok video, but I'm going to respond to it regardless. So where do you get clients? I think there are a number of places you can get clients as someone who's starting out as a virtual assistant. So one is Facebook. 2, we have LinkedIn. 3, we have TikTok. Some people have gotten clients from TikTok, but in my experience, TikTok never really pushes content, okay, to people from different regions. It's very difficult unless you're going viral, okay? And so I don't prefer TikTok for getting clients. TikTok can be used, but just for a different purpose, okay? And then there's job boards like Upwork, Fiverr, and all other freelancer.com, and all other job boards. You can use job boards. And if you ask me, the only actual response that I could respond to this, but it has to be broad, is that it depends with the type of clients you're looking for. So one, you really do need to know what type of clients you want to work with, and then you can start looking for them in all those platforms I've mentioned, or you can just Google where to find this type of people, and then step by step, you don't have to figure out everything like in one sitting or in one day. Step by step, you'll find yourself just hanging out. When you start hanging out with them, you'll know where they hang out also, okay? You'll find them when you go to a Facebook group. Let's say you're looking to work with coaches. When you go to a Facebook group for coaches, you'll just see how they talk to each other. You'll see how they post and what they post, and you'll just be learning more. And then the more you learn, and the more you'll know where you'll find them, because you'll know they talk in their own lingo, so you'll know where you find them. So you just need to find the first place, and the first place you can start looking is Facebook groups, LinkedIn, Instagram, and whatnot. Okay, so question number 2, what are the most marketable skills you'd advise someone to learn right now in virtual assistance? So this is my opinion. First of all, I don't think there's a skill that is marketable than another. I just think there is a skill that, how can I put this? I don't think there is one skill that is more marketable than another, but I do think that there are skills that, when it comes to skills, the demand, I do think that the demands of skills like fluctuate depending on the type of client you're working with, and depending on the season in which the business you're working with is in. I don't know if you understand. Okay, so for example, I'm going to keep using coaches as an example because I work mostly with coaches. So for example, as a coach, when you have admin skills, like I personally have admin skills, I have automations, I'm an OBM. Okay, I grew into an OBM. So there's a season, depending on what the coach I'm working with is trying to achieve. There's a season where my admin skills really do help. There's a season where my community management skills are on demand. There is a season when automations are on demand. There's just seasons for everything, just depending on the business you're working with. But as someone who's looking for their first client, I'd say right now, most repeatable skills, most skills that involve repeatable actions, are being automated. So I'd advise someone to go for skills that require human presence. Okay, skills that require that human to human interaction. I'm hoping this responds to. So what are the most marketable skills? I'd say skills that require the human presence and require the human interaction. So could you hold my hand like a toddler? Holding your hand, yes. Like a toddler, I don't think so. And so those are the TikTok comments, and I'm going to go to the email. I have my email on. how do you manage multiple clients? I actually love this question. So how I personally manage multiple clients is, one is honesty. I make sure all my clients know that they're not my only clients, okay? And that usually enables them to not require my presence every single time. And then number two is stating it in the contract or argument, your working hours with each and every client. So if each and every client understands your working hours, each and every client understands your boundaries, okay, setting your boundaries help as well. It will be easier for you to plan your day because you're like, there are no emergencies. Okay, emergencies might come in, but they're not that often. Okay, so one is being honest with each client. Just let them know they're not the only people working with you. And then number two is setting, like, having boundaries and setting it in your contract or agreement. Okay, and number three is just discipline. Okay, because like, in my experience, when you first, like, when you sign a client, it usually takes like a time. Like there is that gap. It's not a gap really. There is that time difference between signing one client and signing another. Okay, so when you sign one client, you find yourself that you'll keep learning. You start learning how their mannerisms, how they're working. You're learning the business. You're trying to adjust, you're trying to mesh the business and your own business. Okay, so I'd advise also just space your signings. When you're signing one client, don't actively sign another client when you're still signing one, because onboarding is hectic. I'll make a whole different video about onboarding and what to do and what not to do. But today, that is one of the ways in which I manage multiple clients. I make sure that I'm equipped, okay, and I fully understand one business, and I make sure that it fits into my day, and that helps me determine the type of next client I want to sign next, and that also helps me manage multiple clients. Okay, that is number three. And then the fourth way in which you can manage multiple clients is, I think you just have a discipline, like time management tools. Instant Hour Matrix, we have that one. I used to use that one. No, okay, but okay, recently I've just been using Clockify most of the time. I just follow it, and I've been using my calendar a lot, so there's that. Okay, but I have more experience, so I've grown into managing multiple clients. But when you're starting out, boundaries, all those things I've mentioned. Okay, the next one is, I'm a new VA with one client, and I feel like I might lose the client because I'm tired all the time and don't want to work anymore. Help. So actually there is so much going on in this one comment. What I can tell, okay, at least when I was feeling what you're feeling right now, is you feel like you might lose one. It might be imposter syndrome. Okay, because you worked really hard to get this client, and now you're doing, okay, you worked very hard one client. Okay, I feel like this is your first client, so you worked really hard to get this client, and then all of a sudden all that theory needs to be applied, and you feel like you don't know enough, you feel not ready. So that might be imposter syndrome. So you can just find ways to deal with imposter syndromes. Okay, and then the second thing that might be happening is you feel tired all the time. It might be burnout. Okay, you work really hard. Okay, client acquisition is not easy, so you worked really hard to get this client, and then you sign this client, and by the time you're signing this client, you feel almost exhausted. Okay, and then you're excited about getting this client, and you start overworking yourself, which brings me to my third question. Okay, my third response, sorry. So it might be that you're burnt out. Okay, so you just need to rest more, and then due to excitement brings me to the next question. You might be overworking. Okay, you might be over delivering. Okay, that is actually a possibility. You might be over delivering because you have one client, you just feel like you don't have anything else to do. Okay, so you are doing a lot for this one client, and the pay is not matching what you're doing because you are over delivering, and that might be an issue. Actually, over delivering when you only have one client is a thing. Okay, I've been there. I think even in December, early this year, January, I only had one client, and even I found myself over delivering. So you might be over delivering. So go back to the scope of work according to your agreement, and then look at what you do every single day, and then see if you're actually delivering what you're getting paid for. Because you might be feeling tired because you feel like you're not being paid for what you're doing. Okay, and then another possibility, you feel tired all the time and don't want to work anymore. Another possibility, okay, it might be that you're not aligned to that client. But since it's the only client you have, I won't go deeper into this, but you might not be aligned with that client, and so you're emotionally exhausted. That is actually also a possibility. Okay, you might not be aligned with the client. You might actually not be aligned with the type of business. The client is okay, but the type of business does not align with you. So this is the thing. When I'm like, I have mentees. So when I'm taking my mentees through client acquisition and then they sign, okay, I just tell them the generals, okay, because there are things that even I can't prepare you for. Okay, because I don't know how your journey will be. I don't know when you'll sign your first client. So there are things even I personally can't prepare them for. Okay, so what I usually tell them is, when you find your first client, when you find yourself in a situation like this person here, you can come to talk to me. Then I can respond to you depending on what you're actually going through. Okay, now what I'm responding to now is just possibilities. Okay, and so you don't want to work anymore, help. Okay, the next possibility is you're not sleeping well. Sleep is as important as the work you do, especially when you're working as, remotely in general as a virtual assistant. Wow, sleep is very important. Generally, your mental health is important. Every single thing about you, because now you're not doing, the work might be physical, yes, but it also takes you. It takes you as a person. You need yourself, like you need yourself fully to be able to deliver the work really, really well. Okay, so prioritize rest, have some boundaries. Okay, you won't set them like all of them in one day, but have some boundaries, prioritize rest. Okay, make sure you're not over delivering. Okay, and then just separate your work. You can block your time. Okay, you can leave the house. That is another thing actually for new VAs. You just got your first client, you're excited, and you're not leaving the house. For formal employment, or rather, like, yes, for formal employment, for school, for every other thing, there is structure, there is lunchtime, there is break time, there is like logging into work, logging out of work. But as a virtual assistant, you don't have all of that. So you have to give that to yourself. You have to give yourself the breaks. You have to be purposeful, like be intentional about leaving the house. Otherwise, you won't. Okay. So leave the house often, as often as you can. You can leave the house every 3 hours, every 5 hours. Just get some fresh air. Okay, that might actually be contributing to your tiredness. You just feel tired all the time. And soon, if you keep this going, I'm just going to be honest with you. If you keep this up, you're going to be depressed. Okay, and I think when I started out, I also got depressed. That is actually, I don't know if it's a phase or it was just me, but most of the VAs I've talked to, they had that season where when they signed their first client, they had like a break, and then they got depressed because they did not understand. Like, learning is one thing, looking for client is another. Now working with clients, each of these seasons, each of these steps needs navigating, and they all come with different set of rules. Okay, so always remember that, and don't try to put yourself down. Don't try to blame yourself. Just give yourself some grace and be kind, because looking for clients is not the same as working with them. Okay, and so you need to start looking for things that work for you right now, as opposed to what you have been doing all along. Okay, I think those are all the questions, and I'm hoping this is going to be an amazing first video actually. So I'm just going to post it this way. I'm not going to edit it or anything, because if I start editing, I'll start overthinking again, and I won't post it. So if you see any mistakes, please bear with me. I'll keep improving at this. I have a feeling that I've like shot a really long video, so I'll keep I'll start being clear. I'll grow into someone who knows how to do great videos and give clear and short, straight to the point answers. But I don't think I want to become that person actually. Am I up? I love to give responses that are broad and nuanced and introspective and retrospective and all those. So I might just be that girl who makes long videos. I mean, who cares, right? Anyway, thank you for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification button.